Hi, welcome to my November wrap up. That's wrong. Welcome to my October wrap up. I read 4 books this month, and usually I read like between 5 or 8 books. So this was the lowest amount of books I read this whole year, but I did read one really, really chunky book. I actually read 2 books and I listened to 2 books. So that's the divide. And the first book that I actually read is The Baby Dragon Cafe. And I feel like the cover is so cute with the little dragon on there. And the writer is A.T. Qureshi. And I really love this book. I thought it was so cute. It was really adorable. It's about Saphira and Aiden. And Aiden, he is a man who is from a dragon family, so he owns his own baby dragon. And then Saphira doesn't own a dragon, but she's always loved dragons and was really excited about them. So she started this cafe where the baby dragons would be allowed to be in the cafe, because usually cafe owners don't allow dragons in their cafes, but she does, and that's kind of how they meet. And then she finds out that he isn't really that excited about owning a baby dragon and he doesn't really know how to train him. And then she steps in and she goes to help him train his baby dragon. And I just think it's really adorable. It's such a cute read. There aren't it's not very plot driven, or stuff happens, but it is a cute read. And I gave it 3.75 stars, because you will notice I don't give like 3 stars or 4 stars. I always do a 0.25 or 0.5, because yeah, I just feel like 5 stars is not enough, that you need more of a range. So yeah, 3.75 stars for this one. And then the next book will be Home Before Dark. This is a book I read because of the Goodreads challenges. One of the challenges was to read a horror book, which is typically not really a genre I like to get into, but I figured, okay, fine, we'll try, but let's try an audiobook, because I don't want to spend money on a book that I am pretty sure that I'm not gonna like. So I listened to the audiobook of Home Before Dark. It's by Riley Sager, and I think it was a good book. I did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was well written. Also, the audio was quite good. There's this house. Maybe there are ghosts there. That's kind of what the book is about. Like, is it a ghost or what's happening? Because there's noises and there's like people do this on the door. Knocking. People knock on the door, and I don't know, there's just stuff happening, and it's like, who's doing this? The door is locked, so it can't be anyone else, but ghosts shouldn't be real, so what's happening? It's kind of 2 different stories as well, because it's about this woman who used to live there and her story of when she lived there, and then her story now, and how she is gonna go back to the house and kind of trying to figure out what happened in the past. I do think it was a good book. I gave it 2.5 stars, which I know isn't that high, but I feel like if it's a 3-star book, I thought it was good and I would maybe recommend it, but I was just annoyed with some of the things. And if it's lower than that, it just isn't my genre, or it isn't my type of book. And if you do like horror, then I do think this could be a good book. It's not too dark. I was afraid that I was going to be scared, but I wasn't scared. So it's okay to read if you're not like into horror but you want to try it out, then I do think this is quite a decent book to try out. The other book that I listened to as an audiobook is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop, who plays Emily Gilmore in The Gilmore Girls, which is a series that I absolutely love. And it was really fun because the audiobook was narrated by Kelly Bishop, by the person herself. So that was really nice. And it was just fun to hear her story in her voice. I will say, she said something about wanting to name the book At the Ballet instead of The Third Gilmore Girl. And I do think that might have maybe been like a better fit, because it's like there were 2 chapters about Gilmore Girls and her experience filming that and with those cast members, but most of the book was about her ballet and her theater experience. There were a few things that just made it so much more real, because she did mention those things, and I feel like some people would just leave those out and wouldn't mention them, but she mentioned just a lot about her personal life, and I think that was really good to also see like her human side and that she makes mistakes as well, and that was nice to see. I gave it 5 stars also because it's kind of weird to rate memoirs or biographies or things like that. It's kind of weird to give a rating to it, but I really enjoyed it. Then the other book that I read is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. It's a really, really big book. And this one was like 780 something. Yeah, like 760 pages. So it was a chunky book. And I really liked it because, okay, so the concept is it's basically Twilight, but then in the perspective of Edward Cullen. And it's really interesting because he can read minds. So he's like reading the minds of people around Bella, like her schoolmates, and he hates Mike. Mike is his name, I think. Yeah, he hates him, and that's just kind of funny to read about. I will say he's like in the beginning of the book, he's just stalking her, and it's kind of crazy. The scene where it's a little bit of a spoiler, but most people have read the books or seen the movie, so it's not a big spoiler. But there is a part where he's in her room, and then he talks about how he's been in her room before, and she's not at all concerned about the fact that he stalked her. She's concerned about the fact that maybe she didn't look pretty when she was sleeping, and maybe she said something in her sleep, and like, girl, he he broke into your house and you don't care. But yeah, that's just Bella, I guess. But it was really interesting, and what I thought was really fun was to also see his family dynamic, especially with Alice. I thought that was so interesting because she can see into the future and he can read her mind. So they're kind of teaming up and working together because then he's thinking like, what if I make this decision? And then she sees that future, and that's kind of how they team up and come up with a plan, and then they share that plan with the family who's just sitting there like, yep, they're planning something, but I don't know. And yeah, I really like that. And I also thought it was so cute how at a certain point Emmett really got protective over Bella, and I thought that was so nice to see. It was also nice to see how Edward thinks about Carlisle and how he really puts him up a pedestal that he does deserve. He's really great. So that was nice to read about. And I gave this one 4.25 stars. I didn't give it 5 stars because there were just some cringy parts in the book, and I knew that getting into it because I've seen the movies, I've read the other books, the in Bella's perspective. But yeah, it's a very long book, and in the beginning I was thinking, oh, 5 stars, I love it. But then as you go along, it's like, yeah, she's tripping so much. It feels unrealistic, but then when you look at the movies, they casted the right person for her because Kristen Stewart does make it seem like natural or something. It's like, yeah, she does seem like the type of person that would constantly trip over her own feet. But in the book, it just sometimes it's like, oh, she just tripped 2 seconds ago. Why are we doing this again? This is also one of the books for my book club. So we're gonna meet up in December, and then we're gonna talk about it. So maybe I'll do a little check-in to let you know what they thought about the book. So yes, these are the 2 physical books that I read, and then Home Before Dark and The Third Gilmore Girl are the other 2 books. And yeah, I think it's a good week. I mean, I had a 5-star read, so that's nice. And I did rate Home Before Dark 2.5, but I don't mind having read it, and I think it's interesting to try out a new genre. So yeah, I'm happy about this month and the ratings and how much I read. I do feel like usually I read a little bit more, but let's see what I can read next month. I have already started reading the next book, the book that I'm going to be reading in November, and it's called Remarkably Bright Creatures. So I am like, what is it, 14 pages in, which is not a lot, but it's so cute already because this octopus, I don't know, he's just kind of funny. He is captured, and there's this cleaning lady, and she's 70 years old, and she's still working. And I don't know, I think they're gonna become friends or something. I don't know, but it already seems like it's gonna be a really adorable book, so I'm really excited to read that book. If you read one of those books that I just mentioned, let me know your rating. I'm really curious to see what rating you gave them and what you thought about them. And maybe also let me know what's on your TBR for the next month. Bye! Thank you for watching!